Why would God allow my child to have special needs? This is from the East Mesa campus. That is a heavy question. Whoever sent that in, thank you for sending that in. Couple thoughts on it, Chad, and then do you want to add on or do you want to go first?
I'll go first
Okay.
because I have a special needs brother. For those of you who don't know, my brother Matt is special needs. So he just turned 46. He just came out here and spent the week with us for his birthday, and then we did an early Thanksgiving. Matt was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. But in recent weeks, he told me he's out. They played the Texans the other night because my family's from Texas. Matt lives in Texas with my mom. And he's like, I'm just going to imitate my brother. Give me some grace here. She's like, Chad, I'm out. I'm rooting for the Texans now. No more Dallas Cowboys. I'm like, okay, buddy. And again, special needs can mean different things. I've asked that if you, at East Mesa, I've asked that question a lot about Matt. My mom's getting older. My stepfather's getting older. Matt will soon be Katrina and I's responsibility. And he will probably live with us for the rest of our lives once my mom and stepfather go to heaven. So I've personally asked this question a lot, so I feel the heart of the question. So I'm going to answer it personally. The thing I've gotten from the Holy Spirit is, why is Matt special needs? Because he has a special place in the world. Because that's part of God's purpose for him. Here's the thing about Matt that I admire. Matt is almost always loving and almost always kind. Forgive me if you've heard me tell this story before, but when Katrina and I were dating, she was going to Bible school. We met because I was teaching this Bible study at the church she was going to, and so she's studying theology and all of that in school, and we go to dinner one night while we're dating, and she says, you know, Chad, there's one person that's been teaching me more about God than anybody else. And of course, I'm thinking she's talking about me, like she's about to tell me I'm Jesus Jr. and, you know, that. So I'm like, well, sweetheart, who is it, you know? And she says, well, it's Matt. And I'm going, Matt who? And she goes, Matt. And I go, my brother Matt? And she goes, yeah. I go, what's he teaching you about God? And she says, I don't have to prove anything to Matt. He doesn't care what grade I made on a test. She was playing sports. She's like, he doesn't care whether my team wins or loses. He doesn't care if I've done something right or if I've made a mistake. She said, Matt just loves me because he's Matt. And then she said, I think God is a lot like that. So she said, I'm just learning a lot about God from Matt. And of course, I was like, yeah, well, okay. You know. So for me personally, I trust God with Matt, even though, right, he'll be our responsibility. I've learned a lot about who God is through him. And so why would God allow it? Because I think there's purpose even in that. And I think special can mean some different things. This is a sidebar, but Native Americans believe that Down syndrome, special needs people had a special spirituality about them and that they were connected to spiritual things in a greater way. And I think there was some insight there. So yeah, that's my answer. And I, whoever you are, even if I don't know you, we haven't met, I love you. I get it. But I do think God has purposes and plans in that. And by the way, after the first of the year, there's some things that I think the Lord has spoken to me about in the realm of helping special needs people in our community, and I'm going to bring that up in January. But I really appreciate the question. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's really good. There's a theological answer to this question, but I don't think that that's really the question. If ever the question is, why are some people, born with a disability or different things, that's because the world is not as it should be. That's the theological answer. But the reality is none of us are as we should be. And there's this moment where Jesus is with his disciples, and they come across somebody who had special needs, and specifically it was blindness in John chapter 9. And it says, as he went along, they saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? So they're trying to figure out, why is this person blind? What's the reason? And they're going, it must be some kind of a sin issue, something. And they're having a theological conversation, but they're talking about a real person. And what I love is Jesus doesn't get into the theology. He doesn't get into because of the Adam and Eve and the fall and all of that, and this is what has happened. Jesus says, neither this man nor his parents, and Jesus said, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. Jesus goes on to heal this man, and this is a story that's been an inspiration for thousands of years, but Jesus ultimately says God's going to be glorified in this. My oldest son, he volunteers with kids with special needs through his school, and they do different sports all throughout the year, and my wife and I, when we can, we go to the different games. And I got to tell you, if you want to be more inspired, if you want to experience more joy, more laughter, more love, more what I would just say is the fruit of the Spirit, go to a special needs sporting event, and you will see beauty in the story that's unfolding before you, and you will see joy and you will see love unlike you'll ever see in any other sporting event. And there's something beautiful about it, and I can't even articulate it other than I do believe that what Chad is saying, God is glorified in that when people love those with special needs. And again, the reality is all of us are people of special needs. And the story of the Bible is that God meets us within the special needs, and he loves us and he cares for us in the midst of that, each in our own unique ways, and then collectively as humanity. And so I think there's a reflection of God's heart in caring for those with special needs. And so again, maybe not a satisfying answer. I know it's difficult if you have a child with special needs, but I believe God can be glorified through that. And I do think that there's great beauty in that, and there's a story that all of us can relate to in that as well.